Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. So we're cracking on with the coffee campaign and this is day 14. Now it was, if you've seen the video, it was a bit of a pig of a mission, and you'll see now it was even more of a pig of a mission than you saw, because I managed to stitch it together to look okay, but we had technical problems. And the problem we've got is that the mission that we're using is over, well, we think the problem we've got is that the mission we're using is over a year old, so it was created in a completely different version of DCS. We're still using that same mission file. It's been edited and we've cut it into quarters, you know, but still, it seems to be causing a problem. But anyway, it is what it is. So let's just explain. So this is going to be the first half of mission 14. You'll see what I mean in a minute. We're tasked ourselves with destroying these ground units here. You've got these units here, a mixture of BMPs, T90s, stuff like that. Okay, but the problem was we couldn't get there. We couldn't get there because we had SA-10 coverage. Just ignore that radar kind of dome. In fact, it can shoot all the way out here, really, probably even up to about here. We've got an SA-3 there that was just about covering there, and we had an SA-6, SA-3 back there that was covering here. So we have 3 SAMs pretty much that were covering this area, so we couldn't get our CAS in. And the idea was to get our CAS in. We also had 2 respawnable red guys flying in here, including a flanker master, which was a real problem. So our tactic was, probably didn't get it in camera, but our tactic was to send our seed flight Buick out like as soon as the server started. There's no rule to stop us from as soon as the server is unpaused, just getting in our planes and flying. So that's what we did. We got in and we took off, and you can see these guys have literally responded about 30 seconds after us, and we were just going to get to this SA-10 and launch missiles before any cap cover, before anything. Harms, we were going to iron hand it, but iron hand it properly this time on my command, before these guys could come and intercept us. Once these guys, the red humans, get within SA-10 coverage, they become basically invincible. Very difficult to kill them at that point. So that's it. We've got some friendly Patriots, whatever, Hawks there. I think that's about it. Once we were on our way, we were going to phase in CAS guys and the cap guys to come and cover us, but speed was our plan. And we realised at this point, we could see these guys on our attack radar, and we realised we weren't going to have, I can find us, where are we, time to get there. You can see we're both, in fact they are closer to that than we are, so we had to speed up. So I ordered the boys to put the burners on and climb, and we're going to go for a long lob basically, and lob onto the SA-10, and I think it pays off, so up we go. Now, the way Iron Hand works is that you wait. Well, we do know actually where this SA-10 is because of the amazing data link package inside of the F-18. We weren't really relying on that. We were relying on what we call our GR manual Iron Hand technique, and that means basically, as long as you know your missiles right, in this case harms, as long as we're high enough and fast enough, as long as the SA-10 can shoot us, we can shoot it. That's the rule with Iron Hand. When it comes to harms and SA-10. So it's firing at us now. So we respond by sending, 12 harms and 2 times KH-58s. The idea is to overwhelm the sensors on the SA-10. It can only track up to 8 targets at once. And and so these guys just never got a chance. And it turns out, bloody good technique. And everyone got their harms working this time. We had some problems last time, but everyone got their harms off in a big bulk, in a big thing. And that's exactly what needed to be done. And this is going to be a perfect example of the Iron Hand. One search radar was already taken down in the last mission, so we were just taking out the last one. So we're losing missiles. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4 missiles are going down, but it can't get all of our missiles in time. That's the whole idea with this. So it's a bit of a war of attrition. More coming out. Boom, 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 boom. Very difficult thing to take down an SA-10 with flankers in the mix. Because you can't go under the radar because the flankers will kill you. More missiles down, more missiles down. Some misses. More missiles down. Tunguska opens up in a minute. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 have made it through. Missed. Haha, you lose. Oh no, they're going after the 5.8. And kaboom! Big bird down. So you can just get enough missiles through after that to kill one of the SA-10 units, basically. If we had another bird, we would have separated it between the big bird and the clam. No, the clamshell was already dead. It's just a big bird. So that, I believe now, is an inoperable SA-10, or it's so... look, there's a bloody SA-3 was firing at these. I had no idea it could do that. Interesting. Look at that go. Look at it. They've bent round and they did... No. I didn't know that was a thing. Tunguska's having a go, but alas. So, great work, Seed Flight. For once, it actually worked properly. I love it when it actually bloody works. Which I'm happy about. And completely by fluke more than anything, as soon as we finished our seed, bloody Sukumi was right below us. So, when those missiles were literally in travel, we just literally dropped down 20,000 feet, landed in a hurry, rearmed, took off again. The cap's coming in now, and Whistler has... Oh dear, Whistler's got himself in trouble. And look at that for timing. So I'm moving this bar at the bottom. And this tells us where we are in the mission. And stop. That's the end of the mission. The server crashed for the first time there, just as Whistler was about to die. So it's a very lucky man there, because he wouldn't have been allowed for the restart. So that's where we got us on the runway, Hogs halfway, and the air-to-air just getting into combat. So what we did now is, because the server had crashed, is we restarted the game and removed all of the units that we'd killed. Whistler just got to stay in by literally by half a mile. So lucky boy. So let's go and find that. One number 2, come on. Right, so after the first crash, what we did is we got everyone in exactly the same place with the same weapons as we were. So you can see we're just there about to take off. The boys are here. The A-10s are halfway through. And then we allowed the Reds to do whatever they want, so they didn't have to come and dogfight us. And they decided to stay behind their shield, which is perfectly good. And then we got on our way again. Shield. I haven't seen it from here, so let's see what happens. Got our boys together now. Because of the nature of this mission, I would have preferred to have 2 cap out to sea and 2 cap out to sea, 2 cap inland. That said, you do leave yourself open for a mountain attack here from flankers if you've got 2 guys maintaining this land. So I don't really know what the right thing is to do here. I'm going to have to rely on you lot to tell me what the right thing, because we do have a lot of trouble, as we see. It turned into a very atrocious mission. So these boys are moving inland. At some point they're going to get spiked. The SA-10's now out of action. We've nailed it. You can see this guy starts firing a buck fires, so they head away. It's fine. Meanwhile, we've taken off. We go north for safety and then turn back in alongside the Hogs. And we've got action. Ral, he's in a flanker this time rather than the MiG-29. The reason is we thought the MiG-29 might be crashing the server. I know it had a habit. It used to be able to do that. So let's see. We've got a 15-mile ET. And I'm not going to criticise because I don't really know anything about flanker tactics. I'm not a flanking man. Responsive Signore. Signore does a proper attack there. What he does is he fires. And as soon as he fires, he split S's while Railman carries on. Rail didn't assume an AMRAAM would be fired, but you must always assume if you're within 10 miles of a bad guy that an AMRAAM has been fired. So he just carried on too long, and by that time you're just too close. It was never going to dodge that. Boom, out. So that was the boys. They got Rail for no losses, which is good. And they turn around, boogie out of combat. Whistler comes in. We're going in for the attack here, and we think everything's cool. And we did know about Shifty down here. We were getting him, so he wasn't too low for Overlord, wherever Overlord is there. Overlord could see him because he was telling us sporadically there was a flanker about 20 miles away, but it was always about 20 miles away, so we never let it worry too much. And we knew these guys were out here to come in if he combated us. So, but something went out the window somewhere. Also, these guys got distracted. You see, Felix is going out from Whistler, and it turns out they were fighting a boat. So all these guys have turned their attention away from Shifty to attack this boat. Because I don't know, I wasn't there, but I'm assuming the boat showed up as a hostile on Shifty's radar, Org 9. Let me know what you think about that. I've never seen a boat or anything come up on a radar, so I don't know what that was all about. And the missile, well, I guess missed because it's not designed for fighting boat. Oh, and an AIM-7 going out. So that was interesting. And And the problem that is we've now lost our cap cover. So we're about to get plugged, unfortunately. So that's just one of those things that needs learning by. And by the time, look, these guys are like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? We've got missiles coming at us. And kudos to Shifty. Amazing job he made of this. Because we can fight back. We've got, you know, we can probably out dogfight that thing there. But he did exactly what he needed to. He went round at, well, let's see his altitude here. 600 feet, and that's quite high for what he was doing around here. And he was using ETs to shoot at us. So we didn't know those missiles were coming up. So we didn't know anything until literally planes started exploding. We just hadn't got an AWACS call when we hadn't made an AWACS request when we were close. So we've got the KH-58 so going out, and we all get target fixation now. We're sitting here trying to work our harms, trying to get them to lock onto things, and these SAMs are refusing to play ball, so we're struggling to do it. Meanwhile, Shifty's rubbing his hands together. He's just seen a tight pack of 4 together. And the cap cover is 40 miles away, shooting boats. There's no GM out from Tomic. I'm trying to fire mine. Little would you know, perfect shot. That's exactly how a flanker should be used. Rising around on the ground like the worm it is, and then using its fleur to look forwards and upwards. Its radar off. Obviously, if it had its radar on, we could know where it is roughly. With its radar off, and then see something, and then fleur an ET up there. And the first thing we'll know about that, because it's from belly upwards, we will never see it. The first thing we'll see is when the first guy explodes. Pow! First guy explodes, and we're like, what the bloody hell's going on? I assumed we'd gone over IR SAMs. That's all I could think of. So all I could think of was powering down my engines and flaring, but I'm trying to get details. Then someone shouts it's a flanker. I don't know how they knew that, but someone knew that. I guess they must have seen the missile. And then that's it. Burners on. Get the hell out of there. Meanwhile, Tomic managed to get out, but I was too late reacting. Boom. Supercap's down. Never good. Shifty's rubbing his hands together still. He goes back into safety of his... we haven't got any IR SAMs around here. We've got very little defence. Hawk and a few man pads around here, but very little defence. So perfect use of the flank. Got some AAA going out there, but it's not much use. We destroy the SA-6 and the SA-3 here, which is beautiful. Didn't get to pop the SA-11, which is annoying. I really wanted to go for that. Tomic's RTB. Boys finally come in now, but it's too late now, obviously. There's no use coming in now. So everyone heads out, and they just try and, get together with what's going on. They see the flankers turn cold, and everyone turns cold, and it's stalemate again. Then they decide to head back in. Tomic, I'm not on comms at this moment, so I can't say what's going on. Tomic's heading in, and the SU's going to turn around and head in as well. And I didn't know, Cheyenne's cap. So that's that. Tomic goes in, and frustratingly, exactly the same thing happens again. You just can't lock these flankers when they're down so low like this. And look how close we are. We are 8 miles. We just can't see him. He's hiding in the houses. And the first thing you know, he's got a bloody ET or ER or something. This one's an ER. He's run out of ETs, but so he's locked him at the last minute, fired. And only when we see the smoke of that missile do we get to follow that back with our eyes to the hostile. And then you get a padlock or or whatever you've got to get to go and find him. Incredibly frustrating, very hard to beat flankers like this. It was very hard. Well, we'll talk about what we could have done differently later on, but let's keep going. Cheyenne misses it completely. Signori just sees it at the last minute. And finally, once one of these guys finds that flanker, that's a dead flanker. But it's finding it. And so that was just Shifty using the flanker exactly as it should be used. We've got AMRAAMs out on it now, and there's nothing Shifty can do now, obviously. Well, he will get shot, That's Shifty out, or his first life out. Anyway, luckily Raoul didn't have time to get back in, which would have caused another headache. But that is pretty much our seed force down now. Then Signore gets lax. Very dangerous in just a ridiculously over-complex campaign like this. To get complacent, you've got to be in or out, in or out. You can't kind of loiter. And they probably think they're loitering over blues, because they can't see these red units, obviously. And he's in just a mile too far. That's a bunch of Strela Mark IIs firing. And you can dodge it, as we've seen, go engines cold and plenty of flares out, and you can dodge it. But he went burners on. And that's not how you dodge a Streller, obviously, but he, just didn't think in time. And that's Signori down, and that's the second server crash, and we could give up at that point. Now, we could have carried on. Could have started again and carried on a third time, but I was just starting to think at that point, we've now lost an Eagle and 3 Hornets, which are expensive airframes to replace. How many more are we going to lose on this mission? So I decided to call it then, which is annoying for these guys because they never managed to get any bombs off. I think Elo got 1 bomb off somewhere, but I don't know where it was, but that was it. So at the end of the mission, I guess you kind of call it a draw in terms of red versus blue. 4 expensive fighters shot down on blues, but that SA-10 shot killed finally, and that's just really good because they really nail us. You need an entire flight to kill it, and an SA-3 and an SA-6 down, so we're happy with that. And I think that was all, and there was one other random small SAM that was taken out somewhere. I can't remember what it was. So I guess you kind of call it a draw, but crucially we made another small push. We ate away at a few more layers of coffee campaign. So what happens in the next mission is everything stays the same apart from literally the units that we killed. So a unit, and we're gonna have to probably wipe out these guys later, probably in the next mission. We're just gonna slowly eat away at this campaign. When we get to here, then what we're gonna do is add the next quarter on, then add the next quarter on, and we've got to do it before we run out of airframes. Basically, it's as simple as that. Or we get bored again. Answered the question, what could we have done differently? Better response from Cap. I mean, I guess you could say it's our fault for getting in shit first of all. We had all the tools we need to defend ourselves against that flanker. We all had our, our data links on, and Overlord could see that guy sporadically, but we could see him. And so he would have shown up on our data link and probably even been IFF by this guy. I can't remember if he can IFF or not without our participation. But we were all concentrating on our harms. We were all just doing our harms. None of us were concentrating on defense. Maybe that's one thing we could do. One of us should concentrate on defense. Or maybe these guys were doing fine. They were keeping out of the way. Or we could have a pair of Cap over this flat land here. The problem is if you have a pair of Cap over the flat land here, like we found previously on Coffee Campaign, you get high skill flanker guys coming in down these ravines and they absolutely rule these ravines. Flankers do. They're built for it, and just killing those guys really easily. We've had it before with the first phase of this thing, so I'm not even sure that's really. I think it's probably these guys' fault. I did specify in the briefing that we didn't want protecting. We could defend ourselves, which is true. We've got all the tools we need to defend ourselves. We just weren't doing it. We were all concentrating on firing our missiles too much, and which is bad driving at the end of the day. So I guess me and my boys just have to smack ourselves on the bottom. That's our fault. That's our loss of 3 Hornets. And then and just to rub it in, exactly the same thing happens 2 minutes later, where Atomic goes in again, kind of target fixation if you like, doesn't see the flanker, and that's another one lost. And then you're forcing our Cap into horrible dogfights where they don't want to be. So yeah, difficult. Anyway, that's it. We'll pretty much continue from where we left off on day 15. I hope you enjoyed day 14, and I'll see you later.